What up guys, Jet Shells here and welcome back to World of Tanks. I'm doing a little bit different flavor of a video today. It's been a while since I've done a decision making video where I sit down and go through a replay post battle and pause the game at different points and explain my decision making and my choices and whether they were good choices or bad choices and why. And also applying that to teammates' decisions and enemy tank players' decisions and how they all interact. But I wanted to show you guys this particular game today for another reason, because this game showed some amazing aspects of communication and teamwork that I rarely see in most pub games. I don't think I see this level of communication from teammates, maybe one in every 400 or 500 games. So it was really nice to see teammates communicating with each other and telling each other what they're planning on doing and what positions on the map they plan on taking and who they plan on supporting. So it was really nice to see that in this particular battle. So let's just get started. So starting through the battle countdown timer, you can already see that the E25 on my team is asking me where I'm planning to go at the start of the game. And I tell him that I plan on counter scouting the E1 bush. For some reason I typed E4 there. There's my dyslexia kicking in there. But I'm telling him that if I spot any scouts there going into E1, to kill them ASAP, because that position is very strong for scouting the 1, 2, 3 lines, and any eyes there need to die quickly if we plan on controlling that portion of the map. And also the T-71 there communicated that he plans on roll scouting the F line, E line, which is great. But the enemy team have 4 scouts in their lineup, so I know that there's an extremely high chance that they will send someone to the E1 bush, and we spot the Bulldog there. So I'm not really too concerned about being high in my roll scout here. I'm just going to pause the game here. This T-71 was trying to get into that E1 bush that I'm talking about, and I also spotted the E25. And because I communicated to my teammates that I planned to counter scout their scout moving into that position, this E25 back here and this WZ-131, as well as any of our other teammates that are in draw range here, are able to shoot these guys and force them to leave this high embankment and a good spotting position. And that way the enemy team won't have nearly as good vision control on the 1-2 lines. So it was really nice to see the communication going on between this E25 and myself, and also this T-71 here. Take an early hit there from the Bulldog, I think, or some E25 maybe. But we forced those 2 guys to leave the ridge, right? So now that they have lost their high vision control, they can still spot down the road, but it won't be as effective. And now my plan is basically to keep roll scouting the E line, F line with this T-71. I got to stay conservative here because of that T-43 there. I'm just going to pause the game right here. Artie just one-shot this T-43, who was being really aggressive in this F2E2 bowl area here in the along the E line. And I'm just going to stop to, I don't know, express my opinion about this. This is what I think why Artie, in its current form in World of Tanks and how it performs its role in World of Tanks currently, is not good. This T-43 was being very aggressive, granted, and he wasn't in complete cover, also granted. So you probably would have taken a moderate amount of damage for peeking over this ridgeline to try and spot our teammates along the road here. However, He was moderately in cover from direct fire from half the guys on this load. And yet he was one shot an Artie because he was trying to be tactically aggressive and help his teammates and spot for his teammates. This is what I don't like what Artie does in World of Tanks right now. They punish aggressive tactical play, and they force people to play extremely passively and reactively instead of proactively. And I would much rather see Artie either have less alpha and a higher rate of fire and accuracy, which I think that even Artie players would like more of, because they also get really, really frustrated with the amount of RNG that's in the game. But yeah, that's enough of ranting on a tangent there. But I stopped to troll there a little bit, but just proving my point. Artie prevents camping because the T-43 was camping in a forward position. Insert sarcasm here. But yeah, so let's just get back to the battle. So right now, my team doesn't really need any vision support. What they need me to do right now is to help kill this IS-3 quickly and get their front tank dead and get their column of tanks under control so that we can kill them before they can cluster up. And then I see that this E-25 is pushing here, and this T-71 did an awesome job of getting a lot of early damage on the E-25 before he came up over the ridge, and I was able to help him secure the kill there. Trying to stay out of this T-71's way so he can get low enough to not get shot. But he did a good job there in respotting the LTTB and the ISU there. But now now that their early spotters have been dealt with and their aggressive tanks have been dealt with, now is the point in the game where you can start to be tactically more aggressive with your spotting. Now I'm going to pause the game here again. It's always good to keep an eye on what your teammates are doing in the game. We just killed one of their IS-3s, their ISU, a T-43, and an E-25. 4 tanks on this side with not very much firepower. We lost a Jägtiger 88, and our Tiger took a lot of damage. But our E-25 is still healthy because he was peeking and poking at the right times. We basically fought and hit way above our weight considering what the enemy team threw at us, because we had early vision on the 1, 2, 3 lines, and they knew, and we knew what they were going to be pushing at us. So our teammates were able to set up a crossfire and multiple angles of attack, and they were more prepared and ready for them. Now our team have basically just blown out the zero line because of almost no resistance up on the hill. They got a T-34 camping back here and 2 scouts. So it's always good in a break between engagements, right? We're in a break in between engagements. We killed their IS-3, and we've forced all their early aggressive players to either retreat or we killed them. So this is always a good, really good opportunity to assess the mini-map, right? When people feel like they don't have enough time to be quote-unquote constantly looking at the mini-map. I don't have time to be constantly looking at the mini-map either. But I look for opportunities where my focus is not as engaged, and a really good opportunity for you guys to look at the mini-map and reassess how you can be helping your team and where to position yourself to help your team is during breaks between engagements, where you can where you have more time and you're not shooting at someone, etc., etc. So right now I know that there's an LTTB up here in D1, or was, and our T-71 was shooting at him. So I do go up here high, but I don't plan on passive spotting here in this G1 bush, which is the normal passive spotting position from the south spawn. I just want to get high up enough to see if I can spot anything else over here. I know that whatever that they have down here is lower tier and doesn't have very high alpha, so if I get shot, I'm fairly healthy still. I have 840 hit points, and I can take a shot or two, and I'll be able to get some better vision here. So there's a high chance that the LTTB is still up in a bush somewhere ahead of me, and that I'm still lit, right? That's always a possibility when you think that your light bulb goes off and that you drive around for a while and you're like, oh, I'm not spotted anymore. You may still be lit the whole time by a scout in a really good spotting position, so it's always good to be conservative. So right now I'm roll scouting in the bowl and trying to see if that LTTB is still there. I spot that KV-85 there. And I'm watching from my right. This bowl here where me and the T-71 is extremely vulnerable from the right. Gonna pause the game here. Whenever you go into this depression right here, you always need to be thinking about, do I have enough teammates to kill off anything that might get aggressive on me right basically in front of you, right here in E2 on the left side. If the enemy team feels like it, they might just go across the road and push into the bowl with you. And you have to decide, do I have enough fire support back here that if the enemy tanks cross up and over this road, that they'll die before they get to me, or they'll take a lot of damage and I can kill them when they get in and start fighting with me at point blank range. Also, when you go into this depression here, the other thing that you need to be watching for when you're peeking and poking in these bushes here, I wouldn't recommend peeking and poking in this open area without a bush unless you already have a good idea of where the enemy tanks are, and unless you're trying to spot something down in this little draw area here that you don't have enough elevation to see. Also, when you peek up high into these bushes and you're trying to spot enemy snipers along the edge of the map here, or tanks along here that are in concealment until you get into these bushes, you need to be always watching for enemy tanks that are still here on the 4, 5, 6 lines. Depending on the tier and depending on what kind of view range the enemy tanks have, they have a good chance of spotting you from this location here if you peek up over out of this depression here. So you need to always be watching your right here when you go up into these bushes here to try and spot the 1, 2 lines. But now I have really good hit points left still, and I'm calling for help from the E25 specifically. I want to kill off this LTTB, and I know that if I get a little bit of support from my teammates that I can do that, and I end up getting a lot of support from my teammates. And we kill the one-shot VK. Now I'm going to pause the game here. I could go for Artie here, and there wouldn't be really anything wrong with me trying to kill Artie. But he really isn't a threat to me personally, and he may be pre-aimed on one of my teammates, say for instance the Tiger. But really, I don't have a very high percentage chance of hitting him, even though I'm about 200 meters, so I might have a 50-50 chance of hitting him here from this range on the move. But what I'm really focused on is helping this T-71 here. He has 363 hit points. There's still an enemy T-71, a Cheeto, and a T-21 spotted over here in A6. And if I can help it, I want to help keep this T-71 alive on my team and help share my hit points with him so that we can kill out enemy tanks. I know that I don't need to shoot this Artie, right? I have him lit, and he's within draw range of several of my teammates here, the E25, the T-71, the Tiger here up on the ridge on the E line. and maybe even from the Wheezy 131 over here. So I don't need to try and shoot him. He's going to die most likely from my spotting. So this is a really good example of prioritizing your targets. When you have the option to engage multiple targets, which one is the most important? A good example would be to kill one-shots, of course, but you need to be thinking in a more general aspect of which tanks are the highest threat to my team right now. And since, of course, Artie is a high threat, but the threat is being dealt with by my vision, so I don't need to do damage to him myself. So let's just keep going. So I'm going to help this T-71 kill this Cheeto. And I hold my fire. I could have shot there, but when you're auto-aiming at an enemy tank and you have a teammate circling him, just be mindful of how they're rotating around the enemy tank, and just hold your fire until you have a clear line of sight. That way you won't do any team damage. Is always good. So there already didn't die with the first round of spotting that I did. That T-21 is going to die before I get my gun on him, and I respot the Artie. And there's only a T-34 left over there on the other side, and he also dies. Now, basically recapping here real quick, this game was not an amazing statistical game from me, but it was what I call a very clean game. All of my teammates did a really good job and did their job and their role the best that they could. And it was really nice to see the communication going on between this T-71, myself, and the E-25. The Yag Tiger 88, he died unfortunately back here because he was getting focused, but he did a really good job in standing his ground and getting in as much damage as he could. And I'm just showing you guys this battle to demonstrate how effective teamwork really is. When you can outplan the enemy tanks and their deployment, and also when you have early intel and see the enemy tanks positioning and their dispersion, and your teammates can plan better, right? Of course, you can't control their choices, but you can control your choice in helping them that. It's up to them to make good decisions from that, but they can't make good decisions if you don't give them the intel to work with to start with. So you do your part by vision and by direct fire and helping your teammates as much as possible, and hopefully they will do the same for you, and in this case they did. So I just want to show you guys this battle and demonstrate how effective teamwork really is. Happy hunting out there, and take care.